Hey there guys, and welcome to another episode of Bravely Default. So in the last episode, we went on quite the world excursion. We saw the world, I can show you the world, the greatest Aladdin song that ever lived, and we got the 7 keystones. So now we can finally open this damn door and I can finally get my vampire asterisks.
Did you hear that sound? I believe the gate is finally unlocked.
That was anticlimactic. He could have at least included a flash, a bang, or a puff of smoke.
Let's head in before Ringabel has a chance to flap his gums again.
I don't know, I could have used a flash, a puff. You know, something exciting to brighten up my day, and how is it nighttime over here? When I came in, it was sunny. I call weather hacks.
It's freezing in here. Even colder than it is outside.
Look at all those paintings.
Did we just stumble into an art gallery?
They all have a sort of forlorn look to them.
Interesting. Now that I think about it, did I ever change my encounter rate? I remember turning it down because I had to come back all the way back to this castle here, and I didn't want to deal with a million encounters. I don't think I did. 1 second. Man, I gotta stop doing that. Can I actually look at these paintings? No, I cannot. Okay, so I've been told that the enemies in this place are really hard to deal with. So we're...
What a large portrait. Is that Lord de Rosso?
His wife was sure an attractive one. Oh, and it says something under the painting. Lester, eldest son of the House of de Rosso, future clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy, born in the land of Eternia on a cold winter's day. So, that's his mother, not his beautiful young wife. And that little baby is Lord de Rosso.
Clergyman? Of the Crystal Adventists?
Is something the matter, Agnès?
The Crystal Adventists were the predecessors of the Crystal Orthodoxy. It is now known as the Old Faith. But it hasn't been practiced in over 2,400 years. How could he have been a member of the Adventist clergy? According to this portrait, Lord de Rosso is incredibly old, even ancient.
Yes, indeed. For I was born of these frozen lands in a time some 2,400 years from this day.
And this portrait?
I was but an infant, as you can see. This is a reproduction, however. The original was lost long ago to fire.
And what of the part that reads, clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy?
Yes. As Wind Vestal, you would be expected to take interest in such matters. But ere I delve into the matter of the Old Faith and the Orthodoxy, allow me to tell of the founding of this land. As you may well know, this land had long been ruled by the Crystal Orthodoxy. However, 15 years passed, the Templar rose up and occupied their lands. Thus was the Duchy of Eternia born. Or so I expect you have been taught. However, the Templar did not found a new state. In truth, he restored an ancient dynasty.
He did?
Long before the Crystal Orthodoxy ruled this land, it was known as the Kingdom of Eternia. In a time 2,400 years past, Eternia was a bountiful land blessed with 4 distinct seasons. The highlands were not as lofty as they are today. People and ideas flowed freely from other lands. The kings of Eternia were protectors of the Earth Crystal and the Crystal Adventists, ruling in peace for generations. To the west lay the castle of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia with royal blood in their veins. Relations with the royal family were good, and ever did the kings of Eternia treat the dukes of our house with kindness. In return, the House of De Rosso did faithfully serve generations of Eternian kings.
A family portrait by Lord De Rosso. Little did he know of the approaching maelstrom. Such tragedy that we could not possibly fathom.
I was totally not expecting that cutscene. But I love the flavor text. I love the backstory. Anyway, what I was going to say before I got interrupted by that cutscene was that apparently the enemies in this area are fairly difficult. They're very bulky. So in all honesty, I will probably just rely on my grinding strats in order to make it through this. Now granted, there is a better way to do so using the Arcanist. These are scary. But one of you is weak to wind, the other one is weak to light, I think. So I'm just gonna go for compounding. That's on. Why do I not have compounding on Tiz? Ah. Okay, Tiz, you're defaulting. So we're gonna go for compounding. We are going to combine. Where's my wind ones? Fairy wings. We're gonna combine 2 fairy wings together. We're gonna form a Tengu sneeze. No longer do we have the Tengu yawns. We're now going into full-blown sneezes. It is allergy season, and Tengu has the worst allergies known to mankind. He also has the worst nose known to mankind. Have you ever seen a Tengu nose? That thing's huge. So I don't care who does it first, just as long as somebody uses it first so that we don't take too much damage. And I will have to put compounding onto Tiz as well. Each one of these is doing about 3,000 damage to the flying one, and then Cerberus is taking around 2,000. So it looks like I'll be using 10 of those, 10 fairy wings per battle. Okay, that's fine. I have extra stuff that I can use to make this work. Now what I was going to say was, there is a way to do it with the Arcanist, and the Arcanist has access to an attack called Twilight, which will instantly kill any foe that is asleep, excluding bosses. However, in order to make that really work properly, I kind of need to be able to use something called Group Cast. And that is an ability that is available through the Black Mage line. But you can't get it until level 14, and that's quite a ways away. I think I stopped at around level 12 or so, raising it off camera. So I don't really want to grind another 10,000 job points just to be able to complete this dungeon. So I'm just going to rely on my grinding strats for now. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I can even put this on auto. As long as we're fast enough to get the first strike, we're pretty safe. And as long as our enemies don't get the first strike, we should be okay. Also, I'm noticing they're bringing a lot of JP from this area. Interesting. I might have a new grinding spot. Can I examine this one too? Oh, I can!
What magnificent vestments. This must be none other than Lord De Rosso.
'Tis a portrait of my ordainment as Cardinal of the Orthodoxy. I was as yet... No, let us move on to other matters. I was born of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia. Blessed was my youth. My parents showered affection upon me, and I was beloved by the people. And the king bestowed favor upon me as well. Upon royal recommendation, I was made a cleric of the Crystal Adventists, the Old Faith, in my 19th year. I devoted my body and soul to my clerical duties, for king, for kingdom, for faith. sleep became an oft-missed luxury. But before long, a new tide began sweeping through the Crystal Adventists. There were those who wanted the clergy to control the 4 crystals of Luxendarc, rather than local monarchies and temples. That belief formed the core of the Crystal Orthodoxy. The Eternian royal family, keepers of the Earth Crystal, immediately assented to this new way. I soon found myself appointed to the position of Cardinal in the Orthodoxy. Me, a mere cleric. Cardinal de Rosso. Those were my days of glory. Even now, the mere sound of the then-new title is dear to me. The old faith was remade entirely into the Crystal Orthodoxy, and the decision was made to elect a Grand Patriarch to rule. Thereupon, cardinals throughout the world gathered for a conclave to elect the first Grand Patriarch. Amid the conclave's maelstrom, I was approached by a cardinal who wished for me to vote for his choice. I suppose it was my youth and sincerity that made me reject the notion out of hand. But that was my downfall, for I was forced from the position of cardinal by the fraudulently elected Grand Patriarch. I had been but fervent in my beliefs and ideals. What I did only for the Orthodoxy, and for the people of this world.
The old faith and the Orthodoxy. The Kingdom of Eternia and the Duchy. That was all a bit hard to follow.
I agree. There are no major differences in teachings between the Old Faith and Orthodoxy. They both revere the 4 crystals. I have heard that the Adventists gave way to the new and truer ideas of the Orthodoxy and faded away.
No wonder the Old Faith was abandoned.
Yet there is more to the story, for history is not more than accounts recorded by the victorious. To solidify their power, the victors showered contempt upon the vanquished. So it was those who held the reins of power within the Orthodoxy relentlessly pressed for the Adventists' eradication. No one recalls the words of the vanquished if the victorious write them out of history. 'Tis as if they had never existed.
I'd been taught that the battle between the 2 faiths had been fierce, and in its wake, devastation persisting to this day covered all the lands.
That is an uncharacteristically accurate account for the Orthodoxy, save for their false reckoning of time. It was after the Orthodoxy had begun ruling the world that the endless conflict with the Adventists began. I should know, for I was there to bear witness firsthand.
Lord de Rosso, how could you possibly be that old?
How indeed. Yeah, screw it, we all know anyways. Rainbow, you were sawing logs almost the entire time Lord de Rosso was speaking. Sawing logs? She means you were sleeping. Ah, so it was that obvious. Obvious? You were snoring like a bear. I was? You will have to forgive me. Even I know that's really rude. That it is. Even if it was an incredibly long bit of oratory. That's right, Ringabel. You were really rude. I mean, your snoring even woke me up. What? You mean you were sleeping too, Adia? Guys, pay attention in class. Please. Don't make me flick the lights on and off.
Lord de Rosso's ordainment portrait.
From the Old Faith to the Orthodoxy, Lord de Rosso's fate was sealed upon his ordainment.
Oh man, I'm just loving all this history. Now let's get first strike. Sweet! I wonder why it is. I never really liked history that much when I was in high school, but now that I'm older, I kinda like it a lot more than I used to. I'm not sure why that is. Like it's because I'm just able to comprehend the events a lot easier than I was back then. Am I just more interested in just how people interact, both past and present? I'm not really sure. I want the chest. We're going back for the chest. Hopefully we have something good. Alright, make my trip worthwhile. Make my trip worthwhile, chest. I had to fight monsters to get you. I mean, I am scumming it with Thank You Sneezes. But come on, it's allergy season and I'm completely out of reactant. I'd use Claritin, but that stuff's too expensive. Question of the day, what is your allergy medicine of choice? Claritin? Soul of Famasa? Increase intelligence, okay. And Hermit Shoes we already have. Giant's Axe I've already grabbed a while ago. Okay, I would say that was worthwhile. Okay. What is with these halls? Who constructed this building? It's just all hallway, no rooms. How am I doing for items? I want to go to medication compounding. And we are so good for fairy winds. Okay, we can just put this on auto. Eat my mucus! Eat my mucus! And this is pretty sweet, because we've been getting the sweet bonuses. So that means we're getting extra money, we're getting extra experience, and we're getting extra job points, because we're taking no damage, and we're doing this all in one turn. See, this is what I mean. This is like the best way to just do grinding. Because as long as you don't get hit, you get extra bonuses, you get extra money, you get extra experience. Granted, I have the experience turned off when I'm grinding. But it works so well. I mean, look at this, I'm getting 300 job points for each battle. And I got the save singing MP support ability. And critical amp, nice. I might have to equip that. It's history time, it's history time.
This one shows a castle in flames.
A large army surrounds it. It looks as if it could fall at any moment.
Is this not this very castle? See, this is the western corridor right here.
There's another castle burning in the distance. It's near where Eternian's central command is today.
So then, that's the Orthodoxy's head temple in flames?
Nay, the distant castle in flames belonged to the King of Eternia, and the castle in the fore. 'Tis the abode of my family, the House of De Rosso.
But why? Why would such a terrible thing?
The kingdom of Eternia was suddenly beset by a great host from another land. We would later come to know that it was a four-state coalition sent by order of the Crystal Orthodoxy. They had been told the King of Eternia sought a return to Adventism and was arming for war against the Orthodoxy. The Grand Patriarchy used this fiction to order a great muster of forces from across the lands. Alas, I failed to heed the many warning signs. I rejected the scheming Cardinal's choice for Grand Patriarch. But he succeeded in luring votes from other factions, and his became the ruling faction of the Grand Patriarchy. It was they who wished to establish Crystal Orthodoxy as the uncontested world religion. Under their orders, the castle of the Eternian King was besieged. It fell in mere weeks. Before long, the great host was at the gates of our castle, and my father lay brutally murdered. The water supply was poisoned, and the Orthodoxy's forces drew an ironclad ring around the castle. By then, the castle sheltered not but the elderly, the young, the wounded. There was no hope of resistance. I was forced to sue for peace, even offering my own mother as hostage per their demands. Yet that failed to break the siege. The commoners who had placed their faith in my family and me slowly starved to death. It was then that a letter arrived from a man. That man was the Cardinal, who had sought to influence my vote. The Fiend was now the officer in charge of the attack. He wrote that he would not accept my surrender. Such was the hatred he bore for me. Such hatred that he was willing to let countless innocents die. My mother had been murdered. Our castle was consumed in flames. That is the painting you see here.
How could the Orthodoxy do such a thing?
This all reminds me of what happened during the Great Plague.
Indeed. Perhaps the Templar and I are not so very different. To be betrayed by what you believe in. To have your family and those you protect murdered. Though we do not see eye to eye, perhaps it is a shared sorrow that binds us.
Lord De Rosa's castle siege painting.
Such a tragic tale.
Oh, so tragic indeed. It feels. You know, it just coming to mind, why exactly are there monsters inside his castle? I mean, are they here just to defend the castle from intruders? Are we slaying his pets? Or are they just here, kind of biz casually? He just lets them walk in and out. Dwarven gloves. Alright, what do these do? Increase dexterity. Okay, I can maybe put that in Ringabel. Don't really see the need right now since I'm just scumming my way through the hallways, but maybe later. Alright, and how am I doing for items right now? Fairy Wings down to 23, so we can only take a couple more battles like this. After that, I will have to switch over to a different item. Kakuremi. What does that do? Lowers your chance of being targeted by enemies to the lowest level possible for 5 turns. I don't really see myself using that, but that's what I thought about Kairai. Is there anything over here? Any chests? There probably is. It's gonna loop the entire way around. Let's just go do the painting first. I'm running very quickly out of items. It would suck if I end up getting knocked out somewhere in here. Because then I have to go all the way to the back, I have to restart my save. So we will quickly heal up Ringabel, and we will quickly heal everyone else back up. And I'll have to change my auto on the next battle.
Look!
Such fierce flames.
Though I wish not to remember that day, it is indelibly etched upon my mind.
How did you survive?
The Orthodoxy lay siege yet would accept no surrender. My mother, father, relatives, and my people lay dead. It was then I set our castle ablaze. But as the flames began to lick my body, something slipped into me. Betrayed by the precepts I believed in, was I not bitter? Robbed of my beloved homeland, my dearest of kin, my people, slain. Amid such despair, was I content to simply welcome death? Nay, I heard a voice. Accept me, and I shall grant life everlasting, though it shall be filled with grief, thou shalt have all eternity to wreak vengeance upon thine enemies. Did I forge a dark pact with some fiendish entity that day? Or was it a rebirth, triggered by a future me reaching back to the past? Panicked upon failing to find my body, the Orthodoxy chose to denounce my family and me as ghoulish vampires. Thus have I been living an immortal existence ever since.
Then the name Vampire Castle is...
A lie that has been perpetrated by the Orthodoxy for some 2,400 years. Though it is true I am immortal, I am no vampire. I find the smell of blood too revolting to ever drink it. Having said that, I have done naught to quell the rumors. In truth, I endeavored to embellish them. My ability to transform myself into a bat and grow these fangs are the fruits of many years. Long, long years of effort. Tell me, O Vestal of the Wind, what does the Crystal Orthodoxy have to say about the passing of the first Grand Patriarch?
He chose the second Grand Patriarch and prayed for peace and the well-being of the faithful as he passed peacefully from this world.
Passed peacefully from this world, you say? I know the truth to be far different.
What do you mean?
The first Grand Patriarch was assassinated, along with his Archbishop, the man who had been my bane. The assassin himself tells you this. There is no other truth. That was when I forsook this land. Soon after, sightings of the vampire Lester de Rosso began to crop up throughout the world. I became a veritable Duke of Darkness, forging ties with those bearing hatred toward the Orthodoxy, and those it had oppressed. I was the enemy of man, the hated and feared vampire. But more than that, I was known as the arch-enemy of the Orthodoxy. And after some 500 years, a fateful encounter with one whom you all know well. No. Let us leave the matter for another time.
The portrait depicting Lord de Rosso's immortality.
He was granted everlasting life. He can't ever die.
So then that man would be the sage. So then how does him and the sage tie into everything that's happened so far? Alright, give me another painting. Give me more story. This is all very interesting stuff. Okay, we're going to have to flip over our attacks right now. So we cannot use the fairy wings anymore. So we're going to go for compounding. And what else can I use? I guess I'll go for ice. Ice would probably work. We'll use permacrystals. We'll have to use more attacks for each battle, but that's fine. As long as we don't die in here. Having our party wiped out is not something I particularly want. On the plus side, we should be at a decent level by the time we get to the boss battle, right? Oh, sweet. Ice is the weakness of the dogs. That's promising. In fact, it looks like we can do this in one turn. Nice! Okay, anything worth grabbing? Is there a Chester? Yes, there is. What do we got? Lamia's Tiara. What does that do? Nullifies Charm. Nice! Why would the Tiara nullify Charm? Is it just too charming? Does it have so much charm that it charms everything around us and bats? Am I going batty? Am I losing it? I'm seeing bats. Come to think of it, why would I not see bats in a place like this? I'm also noticing we're getting a lot of dark matter from all these battles. I'm trying to remember what dark matter is used for. I want to say it's used to forge a dark attack item, but I can't quite remember. I'm Batman.
Battlefield landscape?
It represents the long and hard-fought war between the Orthodoxy and we denizens of darkness. For 500 years, my thirst for vengeance remained unsated. It had also been 500 years since the Orthodoxy had been founded. The world was in the midst of an age of seafaring and piracy. Compared to the great exchange of ideas and information, the once hallowed Orthodoxy began to lose its luster. The authority of the Grand Patriarch and the Orthodoxy itself began to wane. Fearing irrelevancy, the Grand Patriarchy acted rashly to regain its authority. This led to the unusual decision to select a commoner, the gifted young Yuliana, for an important task.
Yuliana? Sage Yuliana?
Yes, indeed. At age 20, the young Yuliana became High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy.
It's hard to believe he ever was young.
It was no laughing matter, for there was no one more skilled at rooting out enemies of the faith than he. The shadowy ones, those who had been working against the Orthodoxy, were crushed by the host he led. In the several decades that saw him age, I cannot count the number of times we have crossed swords, he and I. In the great battle waged on the Karka Plain, the might of our clashing forces rent the very earth into a vast rift.
You mean the rift under Isen Bridge?
In the battle at the foot of Mount Fragmentum, our armies smote the mountain to its very roots.
So that's how that ravine was created.
And in the battle fought on the Harina Plain, the once fertile earth was reduced to desolation. The loss of that fertile plain is believed to have ushered in the downfall of the Harina dynasty.
To think any sort of battle could change the face of the earth so.
We fought our final battle 1800 years ago on the Norende Heights in the land of Kaldisla.
The Norende Heights? That's where the Great Chasm opened up!
In the end, Yuliana, High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy, utterly defeated me, Lord De Rosso, leader of the Shadows.
You were defeated? But you're here with us today.
Yes, well, there was more to that final battle than meets the eye. You see, I ceded the glory of victory to young Yuliana that day. I say young in my reckoning, for he was already 100 then. Yuliana returned triumphantly to Eternia with what he claimed to be my remains. What he brought them was not human. And when the Templar attacked the head temple 15 years past, it is said they found my tomb deep underground. Ever dreading the darkness and my return, the Orthodoxy kept those duplicitous remains under arcane seal for over 1,000 years. 'Tis a tale replete with irony, is it not?
Lord De Rosso's war landscape.
It's hard to imagine a war lasting 500 years.
Jeez. Feels like they went all Dragon Ball Z on the landscape. Where all the world lurks... How the world lurks. How the world looks after, Superman fights somebody. All those buildings in the background? Nope. Gone. Gone from the battle. It's kind of bizarre that all those landscapes were created by a single battle, though. And we have the Ranger maxed! We finally actually have a single job maxed out. We're done! Got multi-burst. What does this do? 4 physical attacks that randomly target enemies, dealing 0.6 times the damage of a conventional attack. I have no idea how useful this is. I guess I could change Rainbow over to something else. Start working on a different job point. Who's fast, though? I need someone that has speed. So I might as well go for Ninja, then. Why not? Plus, he looks pretty badass. He looks badass as a ninja. I just need somebody fast that's able to use the skills quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna get hit. We're gonna get hit hard. Alternatively, I could actually work on Spirit Master. Let's do that. Screw that. Start working on this. Because Rainbow just looks badass in those glasses. Too sexy for this castle. Enemy gets first strike. Oh no. Oh, we gotta live this. Oh, we're fucked. We're butt fucked. This is bad. Idea, you're the only one standing. How should I get around this? We're charmed, which means I can't do enough damage with attacks. Screw it!
It's bravely second.
See ya!
Yeah, I stopped the clock.
Screw you all! Don't even care that I used SP, I don't even care. I don't want to be screwing around with Charm. With that being said, I should put Charm immunity on people. So we are going to go into equipment, we are going to give everybody... What is it called? Rebuff Locket. We're going to give everybody a Rebuff Locket. I don't want that happening again. I only have so many SP points. There we go. No more Charm. No more having to deal with that. No. None of that. Be ashamed of yourself, getting charmed by monsters. Unfortunately, I think that means I have to reset the compounding again. Because I used the SP. Okay, that's fine. Start working on our 69 permacrystals. And we need to move away from Run. And go for Medication, Compounding, Arctic Wind, and Arctic Wind. And hopefully Tiz is going to be fast enough to get his attack in, because I don't think Spirit Master is particularly fast. And that should level up our Spirit Master at least a couple of levels. So we're going to get Auto Shell, so that's automatic shell at the beginning of battle. Extra Magic Defense. Fairy's Aid, that's going to protect us from elemental attacks. And that's it. Neat.
That is... Say Juliana.
Yes, indeed. No one would mistake such a man for young now. Having put down the blood-sucking Lord De Rosso, bane of the Crystal Orthodoxy, he became the first ever commoner to become an archbishop. Perhaps it was a small honor they threw his way, for he was already 101 years old and would not long count among the living.
That makes it sound despicable.
Agreed. The truth is, however, that was when Juliana's plot was at its most clever.
The sage's plot? What was he plotting?
He was taking measures to separate you Vestals and the faithful among the people from the Orthodoxy's corruption. After serving some 80 years, he had witnessed firsthand how corrupt the institution had become. Should nothing be done, it would not be long before the putrid poison would do harm to the most innocent of the faith. So it was he vowed to rid the Orthodoxy of the source of this poison, the concentration of power.
But how?
For the great feat of defeating me, Juliana had been made Archbishop, but in name only. But such was not key to his plot. Timing was the key. The proper time to separate the Vestals and the faithful from the Orthodoxy.
And just what timing would that be?
The great upthrust of the Eternian Highlands. At the time, the Highlands were not so formidable as they are today. But a colossal movement of earth and rock thrust the Highlands to lofty heights, thereby isolating Eternia from the world.
Hold on a moment. He was waiting for the Earth to move? How could he have known when such an event would take place?
I shall tell you in time. For now, I will say this. Juliana bided his time till the Orthodoxy was cut off from the world. And at last, it happened. The Highlands ringing Eternia did thrust up to about half its height today. The Orthodoxy-ruled Eternia now found itself completely isolated, for this was an age preceding the airship. And while the Earth Crystal remained in their keep, control of the crystals of fire, water, and wind was returned to their respective temples. This, what you believe to be the true form of crystalism, is the fruit of Juliana's efforts.
That was the sage's doing? I won't ever call him a miserable old lech again.
Sage.
A portrait of the Archbishop.
He looks just as he does today, save for that elaborate attire.
I'm looking at the picture, I can't really see it. I just see black and orange. I will just take their word for it. You have to appreciate how biz casual DeRosa's being about us being inside here. It's like the whole place is just one big history lesson. Alright, need more job points. Give me more job points for that Spirit Master. Convert BP. This one I don't know. I actually have no idea what this one does. What does that one do? Convert BP, sacrifice 25% of your maximum MP to raise your BP by 2. That's not bad. If you were to combine that with... what was it called? There's one ability that lets you... Ooh, painting time. Painting time.
What is that glowing jewel-like object? I could swear I've seen something like that before.
I believe you have seen a similar sight countless times. It is known as an asterisk.
An asterisk? As in those objects we possess?
Yes, indeed. The second stage in Juliana's plot against the Orthodoxy's authority was to deprive them of the power to grant vocations.
Grant vocations? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Before Juliana intervened, special approval was required to change vocations within the Crystal Orthodoxy. In this way, the institution grew rich through fat profits they called alms.
Oh, so the Orthodoxy cornered the job market and the fees to participate therein.
In layman's terms, yes. But Juliana exposed this fact before the reigning Grand Patriarch. It was then that Juliana approached panicked high officials and the Grand Patriarch himself with a proposal of pure genius. He showed them a stone known as an asterisk, saying the granting of vocation should be based on it, overseen by the Orthodoxy. Those who sought such vocations would apply to the Orthodoxy and pay a fair price. Anyone with the means to pay could thus learn a new job.
That's no different from the old system where people had to pay alms.
No different indeed. But the Grand Patriarch and his officials had not but the material profits of the Orthodoxy in mind. Hence, they accepted Juliana's proposal without question, even appointing him to the important position of overseeing the new asterisk system.
I fail to see how that really changed anything.
Well, it did far more than you would guess. For he was the only one who knew how to make the asterisk stones.
Why, that wily old fox?
So it was Juliana robbed the Orthodoxy of its authority to grant jobs and took it for himself.
What of the Orthodoxy's profits? Wouldn't they demand Juliana transfer the proceeds to their coffers?
Juliana was long gone. Abandoning the seat of Archbishop, he fled with his knowledge of the asterisk craft. He also took arms and armor the Orthodoxy had seized from around the world, items of such power that their use was forbidden. He took them all and sealed them away in a hidden location. They now lie secreted away against the day the Orthodoxy's tyranny or some other impending doom threatens the people. He then hid himself in Juliana Woods until those who knew him reached the end of their natural lives. But that did not take long, for I led the forces of the shadows to ensure their swift demise. I had always believed the Crystal Orthodoxy required not but the crystals, the vestals, and the faithful. With the institution free of corruption, I returned to my homeland of Eternia after a 700-year absence. Where my family's castle once stood, I built a fortress of ice from whence I have been watching over the Orthodoxy's head temple. Meanwhile, Juliana retired to that land to tend to the vestals, but you know of that better than I.
Say, Juliana. The asterisk painting.
Sage Juliana created asterisks to chip away at the Crystal Orthodoxy's authority.
Huh. Go figure. I was wondering who created those. Where was my train of thought before that? I know there's an ability that allows you to... That takes away your MP costs when your health is low. HP in a crisis, something like that. Oh well, I'll have to muck around with it later. Plus we also got Save White Magic MP support, which will lower the cost of using white magic. Another rod for us to use, and we have a save man finally. It has been a fairly long episode. Lots of history, lots of backstory, which I kind of like. I like backstory. Learning about the Crystal Orthodoxy, the history of this world. It has been a very worthwhile visit. Okay, so we are going to save here. I will probably have to backtrack and make sure I grab any chests I missed. That's perfectly fine. And in the next episode, we will take on Lord de Rousseau, master of the vampire job asterisks. With that being said, thank you guys so very much for watching this, and I hope to see you next time. Laters!